This time, on LensVid Talk, NAB RoundUp Part 2, Lexar on the go, Tilta finally releases their electronic VND, Aputure with its 5,000 watt light. Stick around.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Lou.
Hey, you know.
And this is LensVid Talk number 36, and this is the second part of the roundup for NAB that we started last week or last time. And this time around, we are going to talk about basically accessories and lights. So last time we talked about cameras and lenses and a little bit about software. And this time around, again, accessories and lights. So let's start. Now, I want to start with what I see as the highlight accessory of the show. I know what maybe you have a different one, but for me, the EVO robotic arm from Motorized Precision, the American company, is definitely one of the highlights of the, let's say, non-camera or lens accessories, basically, of NAB this year. Mm-hmm. And this is an affordable. I think it's around 10K. I'm not sure about the exact pricing, but it's much, much cheaper than anything else that they have. And we looked at the Accsoon arm in one of the previous LensVid talks, and it's, I think, maybe a little bit cheaper, but this is different in a lot of ways. First of all, it comes from a company that has a very long track record of actually making high-end professional robotic arms, so it bodes well for this product. And I think more interestingly, the product itself has some interesting features. So I actually had a talk with the CEO of the company that you had in your interview. Yeah. And the feature that I saw, which I think is really interesting, he didn't show it, I think, in the video, but this is
being able to place it.
Exactly. Yeah. So we mentioned this when we talked to Accsoon, and that robot can do it, and this one apparently can. And I think it's the first. Maybe I'm wrong. The first robotic camera arm that can do this. So basically, you can physically take the arm. Let's say that this is the arm, and say that this is the first point. This is the second point. This is the third point, and then the robot, basically the computer, will calculate the movement, and you can obviously change the speed and maybe how easy is in, is out, all those things, and it will move the way that you actually programmed it by hand. So you don't have to actually go into the software and do all those things. Now, another thing which is different is the fact that it actually has a proprietary software, which I didn't try, but maybe hopefully I'll have a chance to. But it's supposed to be fairly easy. And this is different than an Accsoon, which are not going to ship the arm with their own software. We have the Loki, which does have its own software, but the Loki is much smaller. And it has a far smaller load. This, I think, reach further and has, I think, around 6 kilograms of payload, which is a lot. So that's a lot for such a relatively small robot. They do show it on a tripod, which they claim is fairly stable. It looks stable on the footage that you took, but it also you have other options of mounting it. So you can basically mount it on, let's say, a cart if it's a very stable one, or make your own stand or something like that, with basically a locking part that is, I don't know, they mentioned to me what locking piece this is. So it's kind of universal. So that's a really interesting product. I hope that we'll have a chance to talk to them some more and maybe even test the actual robot arm. Tilta had several new products at the show. So the first one was something that you've been waiting for a long time.
Yeah.
So that is the electronic VND.
Right.
So this one is, I don't know, you saw it in action. What was your impression of it?
I mean, it is what it is, but it looks like it's going to replace most of, if I were to get it, it would replace most of my use of my VND, right? Yeah. I think it's 1:5. It might have been 1:4, but I think it was 1:5, which is most of what I do with my VND anyway. And then you can just add other stuff on top of that. Whether you use a nucleus or
Follow focus, yeah.
mechanized follow focus, or whether you just do it with your finger because you can do that. Looks like it works fine. So I thought it was great. I don't want to. I want to have less. I want to have less stuff. So this is just one thing.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking that I'm not sure if this applies to you, but the ability to, I think that this exists on a few other products at the moment, I think, but the ability to change the amount of VND, or the amount of ND basically, to basically during shooting,
right,
without touching the lens,
right,
is something which is really interesting.
Yeah.
And it adds a little bit more like flexibility to your shoot, because you can decide that you want to take a shot and make it darker or brighter, like to start or to end the shoot with a little bit of like going gradually darker or going gradually brighter at the shot without actually touching the lens, because when we're touching the lens, everything moves,
Right.
obviously, with a regular VND. So it's a pretty cool product. It's kind of expensive. I think it's like maybe $400-500, something like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of an expensive thing, but again, it is what it is. Maybe when there are more of these products around, we'll have more options to choose from, and maybe some of them will be a little bit less expensive. But it's certainly a cool product. Now, talking about forward focus, Tilta finally came up with the Nucleus-M II. So they have the Nano version 2, and now they have the M, the bigger one, version 2, and it has, I think, a mini screen and a touch screen. It can control or support up to 4 basically motors. So you can have like a zoom, a focus, a zoom, an iris, and a VND. So all 4 of them from the same controller, which is cool.
Now it makes sense why they were holding off on releasing that.
The VND? Yeah, maybe.
The VND, right.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's that or they want to finalize
They
something.
look great together, and you do want a mechanized one for exactly the reason that you mentioned. You don't want to be using your finger in most situations because it'll shake the camera. And why would they want to have a new product shown with an old product? Of course, they want the new product, 2 new products to be shown together.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. And now you have all other things that you have. You can daisy chain the power.
Yeah.
You have depth of field indicator on the unit. It's a pretty like a substantial, I think, improvement over the old one. So it's an interesting product as well. In the last product that you saw, I think on the Tilta booth, I'm not sure if you have actually shots of that, but it's actually also new. Is an alien mount for the DJI Pocket 3. So it's basically like a small arm that you can put on a car or something like that, a movable thing. And obviously Tilta is not the first to have this. I think that KMTV and Small Rig and a few other companies already came up with something like this.
Suction cups.
Yeah.
But specifically for the Pocket 3, you mean?
Yeah. And I think all of them or most of them can also accept like a GoPro, something like that, with an adapter.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
And specifically, I think that the Pocket 3 has all sorts of features which makes it, it has its own stabilizer, obviously, but it has all sorts of features which makes it, I think, pretty unique or interesting, because its head can actually move.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting to put on a car. And it's fairly inexpensive, so if you destroy it, it's less expensive than if you destroy your camera.
That's right.
And you can still get the car shots that you want. So yeah, that's pretty nice. Atomos has a bunch of new products. You visited the Atomos booth. So first of all, they have PTZ cameras. We actually mentioned the PTZ camera in the previous video, but so they have a couple of those. So that's interesting. I think they're kind of sophisticated. I don't know if they have tracking, which is the like I would say the killer feature of the OBS bot Tail 2 that we're testing. Maybe it does, I don't know, but that's a very important or useful feature in my experience.
I thought I remembered them telling us that was very important to them, but that was at IBC, so I don't.
You're talking about OBS bot?
No, Atomos.
Atomos.
I thought they said in IBC that anything that they were making was going to have
Tracking?
but I could be mistaken.
I have no idea if the PTZ,
Yeah.
if their PTZ cameras have
Not the
tracking.
PTZ, the oh yeah, oh right.
No, I don't think so. But
Yeah.
again, if they do, I'll write it on the screen.
Yeah, I could be wrong.
So they also came up with something they call Studio Sonic professional headphones. So it's basically monitoring headphones, which is cool. I didn't expect this from Atomos, but you know, why not? They're making monitors, and you can connect a headphone to a monitor. From my experience, by the way, headphones when connected to a monitor always have a pretty substantial lag. So it's not that nice to actually monitor from a monitor.
Right.
But if you connect it to a camera, that's not an issue usually. So that's the second product, and the third one was a set of wireless video transmitters, which is, again, if they're making monitors, it makes sense that they also have video transmitters. I think they have pretty long range. They look pretty. I'm not sure if generic is the term.
Basic.
I'm not sure if basic, but they look like, I don't know if they have a lot of features, but I don't know. It's I guess good that they have them in their portfolio. That's Atomos. Portkeys has a few, I think, 5 and 7-inch monitors that they showed you. What I like about them, that you had, I think we posted this video with this very enthusiastic guy.
He knew what he was talking about.
Yeah. So that was a cool video. And what I like about their cameras, their monitors, is their camera control features, which are pretty unique, because currently we tested the Atomos camera control, and we're now testing another company's monitor with camera control. Both of these are done via USB-C.
Right.
And Portkeys are, as far as I can tell, the only companies that somehow do this wirelessly via Wi-Fi. So this is pretty cool. It's much more useful, I think. How well does it work? I think it usually pretty well, but again, depending on the camera and etc. So that's Portkeys. Hollyland has a Pyro 5. If you remember on IBC last year, we saw the Pyro 7, which is basically a 7-inch wireless monitor. So now they have a 5-inch version. We tested the M1 a couple of years ago, which is their 5-inch previous generation monitor. This is just basically to go in line with the Pyro series, because the Pyro doesn't work with the previous M1 monitors. So that's that. And this is something I don't think that you had a chance to actually see it in person, but it's really interesting. It's the Lark Max 2. And that's a product, the microphone kit, basically, microphone kit, which is, we've used in the past the Lark Max, the first generation. This is 32-bit float, like you would expect from a new generation, and it has something really interesting. It has, I don't know if you saw the video about this, it has a small wireless headphone, which allows you to wirelessly monitor from the microphone.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. So that's an interesting addition, and it's all comes like both the headphones, the mics, the receiver, and maybe even the USB connectors are all come in the same like box. And the shape of the mic themselves is a little bit different than the original version. I think it's a little bit longer and sleeker. And it's kind of nice. What I don't know about this is, are they going to release a Sony adapter like we're currently using the Saramonic Ultra? So they and DJI and I think Godox all have a Sony adapter, which
for the hot shoe.
For the hot shoe, exactly. So you don't need to connect a 3.5 millimeter cable, which is always annoying, gets lost and
Also, this is a digital connection as opposed
exactly.
to analog.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if they're going to come up with that. I think I asked them. I didn't really get an answer, but maybe I'll have another chance to ask them. Accsoon came up with their own two monitors. So M7 and M7 Pro. CineView M7 and M7 Pro. So I think the M7 is basically like a more of a regular monitor, and the M7 Pro is like a wireless monitor. So you can connect it to their own like line of wireless transmitters, and it will work like the Pyro 5 and 7 from Hollyland. Basically, that's the concept. I'm not sure about the lag that they have, because the Hollyland sometimes have issues with like latency. I think that Accsoon is actually a little bit better in this respect. So if we get a chance to test it, I wrote to them. We'll definitely put this to the test. Talking about Saramonic, we mentioned the microphone. They had a new microphone system shown in NAB, and that's the K9. Now, unlike the Saramonic Ultra, this is an UHF system. Basically, the Ultra is a 2.4 gig system, and the K9 is basically a UHF, which means that it has different frequencies. I would say it's a more professional system, but on the other hand, it's a slightly, I think, more complicated to use, because you need to choose the channels and choose a channel which is not like used. It has a longer range. What else? It uses AA batteries instead of like regular built-in battery. And it has longer max distance, 32-bit float, backup recording outside the US. Like you could do both transmitting and backup if you're outside the US. You know, there is some sort of a patent.
I was about to ask.
You didn't know about this?
No.
Okay, for many years, I'm not sure who holds this patent, but one of the microphone companies in the US holds a patent that allows them, and only them, to record and transmit, like record internally and transmit at the same time. Now, this patent only applies for the US, or maybe North America, I'm not sure. But outside the US, other companies can do it at the same time. I'm not sure when it expires, but hopefully soon.
I was going to say, that's got to have a time limit on it.
Yeah. I'm not sure if
there's a point at which everyone's got the technology. It's like,
no, it's stupid and annoying. Yeah. I'm assuming some people from the US try and get the non-US version, but now with the tariffs, I'm not sure what will happen. Yeah, but that's the Saramonic K9. We're probably not going to test it because of it has some issues with local, because it's specific frequencies. You can't use it all over the world, and here it's somewhat problematic. So we'll probably skip that one. Core had a bunch of new interesting things. We released a video about them showing some of the batteries that they have. What I like about them is the stickability of their products. So you can put basically a battery on top of another, and it will like.
That's a specific battery line. That they have.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was awesome.
They have quite a few of them.
What was so great about it is that, let's say, the first battery that you attach to your camera is the one that enables hot swapping. Yeah. So that's the one that you can keep that, fully charged. And when the battery that you put on that dies, you replace that battery. But since the original battery is always on there, you always have power. So you therefore have hot swapping. I thought that was great.
Yeah. No. It's great.
So that first battery, maybe you choose a very small one so that the whole thing isn't becoming super excited,
sometimes you want a big battery. You usually don't think about it, but with like big video cinema cameras, sometimes there are balancing issues. Yeah. So, but regardless. Yeah. And you can also charge. They have chargers that allows you to do the same. So you can take like one charger and charge like a stack of batteries at the same time, which is also cool.
Very cool.
So it's a very interesting technology. I would certainly talk to them after the show. I know that they had some issues shipping to us. Again, shipping batteries is always difficult. Yeah. But I have some ideas I want to pitch to them. So we will see after this video. So that's Core. Anton Bauer, which we saw back in IBC 2024, released finally the Eden, the basically power station that they have. It's I think 2.5 kilowatt power station, and basically they showed you the full version. It's a very interesting one. I think that somebody asked if they have a European version and a US version. I think the answer is yes. So there is a 220 and a 110 versions of that product. It's water resistant, and it charges very quickly. I think in like 3 hours or something like that. So that's an interesting thing, because a lot of like other power stations about the same capacity take a lot longer to charge. And for something that you need to like use on the road, it's very important to have like fast charging. So that's pretty cool. Lexar showed something that I've been waiting for a long time, and this one is called Workflow Go, and it actually goes with another product that we talked about before. I think it's called Workflow or something like that. And which is like a big bay of I think 8 interchangeable card readers, and you can also use like I think SSDs.
Right.
So you have like
Right.
a unit, a big unit.
So it's bays, and you
Yeah,
can put
and you can put whatever you
a
want in
variety
them.
of things in there.
SD, CFA, CFB, SSD, whatever. So that's pretty cool. But the Workflow Go is a small unit with a battery, with again a reader of whichever type that you want, but it has a drive inside.
Right.
So you can back up on the go. Now, this is not the first time that I've seen that, but it's the first time that I've seen that. I would say that I actually think that it's going to work well. First of all, it's connected to an app on an iPhone, on smartphone, basically, iPhone or Android, whatever. So you can see the files, but it's not just SD. You can use whatever drive that you want, whatever card reader that you want. So this whole ecosystem is really interesting. I've talked to Lexar. Hopefully, when they have the first unit for review, they will send one to us, because I really want to test this. So that's a really cool product. Kupo, this is a company that I've never had a chance to actually meet in person. So you got that chance. I talked to them in the past. They're a Taiwanese manufacturer. They have a whole line, a huge line of studio and lighting modifiers, studio gear and lighting modifiers, light stands and clamps, and you name it. They have a lot of things. They actually showed you a bunch of them. I'll put some B-roll on the footage. One thing that they showed, that which I really liked and I saw for the first time, is this small vice clamp, which has basically a baby pin, which you can lock in different positions, which is kind of cool. Do you actually remember seeing that, or you saw it? Vaguely, yeah. But it's a very cool little product. If I get a chance to talk to them, I'll definitely ask them if they can send us one to try, because it's a really nice idea. So that's Kupo. Roubay, which is a Chinese manufacturer that we actually saw in IBC last year, has a motorized 360 spinner, which again, we saw the initial prototype in IBC, and now they have a more mature version, basically, which already works with the app. They've developed an app for this, and it seems to work really well. I think it's supposed to ship in around May, so we're waiting for that. They actually shipped us their original non-motorized version with some accessories, and we might have something on this in the near future. So that was interesting. Another product, which I'm not sure if it's a video or still, so both, that you got a shot of, comes from Leofoto, the Chinese manufacturer. It's basically, maybe you explain it?
A double gimbal attachment, so that you can have 2 super telephoto lenses, let's say, on one tripod, attached through this sort of twin gimbal setup. And you can be shooting pictures of a bird and be getting video of the same exact thing. So that's great.
Yeah, no,
for wildlife. I see the most common workflow being for wildlife people, but I'm sure there are other.
I'm actually thinking about this, and maybe you can actually use it as well for maybe like an interview, where you have like a short angle and like a slightly wider angle and a more tele angle at the same time. on one tripod. This can actually work. Uh, but I think that both lenses need to have like a foot. But there are ways around this, I think, these days. So it's an interesting concept. I'm not sure if they're the first in the world to do this, but
No, they're not.
no, yeah, but still nice. The next one is really strange. I don't know, maybe you can explain it better than I do. It's called Ghost Kits, and these are like I think a small company, maybe a startup. It's basically a wireless. I think it's a Wi-Fi / cellular hotspot unit. It's like a chunky little thing that you put underneath your camera, and you connect your camera to it, and it's create a hotspot. I'm not sure if it's. I think it's cellular as well, because what would be the point otherwise? But it can basically send like images from your camera, maybe even videos. I'm not sure, but probably images for sure. Anywhere online. So to an FTP, to
frame.io, I think was one of the options. It was basically anything, which was the impressive thing about it, was the universality of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how they managed to do that in this day and age. So
yeah, and it's an interesting product. I looked for the website. I'm not sure if I found it. They're kind of an obscure company, but
the one thing that was a little strange was how big this unit is.
Yeah,
it's
kind
a
of
brick that goes under your camera, so it's not suitable for.
Yeah, it's not on the go thing. It's like
on the go, right?
Put it on a tripod.
Which then I'm wondering. Okay, but I thought it was for when you're on the go and you want to send some images. So that's gonna. I'm curious about what workflow is it really.
Maybe it's a prototype just to show the concept.
And it could be.
Maybe the final product will be much smaller.
Yeah, it may not be a brick. It may be like half a brick or something. But
maybe on the hot shoe. I know. I can think of.
Right.
I know. Okay. So that's Ghost Kits. This is something that I will probably never use, but it was fun to watch. And it's something from a company called, I think, Technocrane. Maybe the name of the company is different than the name of the product is Technocrane. I know. Again, I'm not into those things normally, but you shot it and it was kind of cool. It's basically a huge crane, black crane, which allows you to do like 360 hover around the subject. So in a very precise way. Again, I'm not into those things, so I'm not sure how unique that is. They claim that this was the first in the world. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it isn't.
When I see these big cranes, I think they must imagine them being used for sports.
No, you think about concerts
and concerts,
stuff like that. Yeah. Performance. Yeah, all sorts of things like that. So that's a Technocrane. You can see the video on the screen. The next company is a company that you met for the first time. They're, I think, a Canadian manufacturer, which has, I think, a branch in the US.
I believe
but I've never met them outside the US. I don't think that they have. They ever came to IBC. They're called Studio Titan. And in IBC, which is in NAB, which is mostly a video or cinema-centric trade show, they actually showed they make all sorts of both light stands, movable light stands, but mostly camera stands. You can sometimes call them salon stands. We have one from Cambo, which is nice. It's good, but it's fairly expensive. So they make, I think, slightly smaller ones. This one in particular was oriented both for stills and video, I think. This is the way they presented it. We shot, I think, they shot themselves, I think, a vertical video of, that we had. So basically it's, you can spin the whole thing very smoothly. It goes up and down very smoothly. And what else did it have? I don't know. Do you remember no? Okay, but no, it's kind of a cool product. I know. I'll talk to them after the show. They have a lot of different models with all sorts of accessories that you can attach to it. It's kind of interesting.
I just remember thinking like, no one's made this stuff before, and that's how useful their items are. Is that they're very like solve a very basic need.
No, sound stands have been around for many, many years, but
Right.
I think that what they're trying to do is do sound stands which are a little bit more, at least some of them are like lighter and simpler. I mean,
Right.
usually you want a sound stand which is very robust, but you don't always have the room or the budget or whatever. So having an option which is more affordable and slightly smaller for smaller studios is cool. And having something which is, I think, a little bit more video centric in mind, because those old ones are much more like stills centric. We use them for video a lot, but they're not designed for that. That you can do like the up and down is very smooth for video,
Right.
but other movements like backwards and forwards is not very smooth.
No.
Like I have like a crank which I turn. It doesn't look nice if you if you do this with their. I think this stand that we looked at, it actually it seems like smoother. I don't know, I didn't test it myself, but it looks smoother. The last one, which is not a light, comes from Flanders Scientific, which is a company that is one of the, I would say, highest end monitor companies in the business. And I think they showed you a monitor called XMP 2070, or 270, which is a 26.5 4K quantum dot OLED monitor, which again, very, very high end monitor for production, maybe even reference monitor, 1000 nits, so pretty bright. HDR for HDR and I think SDR, and it has something called volumetric auto calibration. Basically, auto calibration is one of the most annoying things about monitors in general. Some of the higher end monitors have like a built-in calibrator. I'm not sure if this one has it, maybe, which allows it to basically, it pops out, I think, on ISO monitors, and some of them you have like a small calibrator which pops out, calibrates this monitor, and pops back in. And it saves you the process of actually doing the calibration. It doesn't take that long, but you know, if it saves you time and you need to do it every like week or month or whatever, that's a good save. I'm not sure about this monitor, if it has like a completely automatic or semi-automatic or how exactly it works, but it's definitely interesting. Not sure about the price either. Not cheap, but they're supposed to be very, very good. So finally, we're getting to lights, and there were a bunch of lights. I think I'm not sure how many of them you actually saw. One of them that I'm not sure, maybe you just walked past, was the new Aputure XT52.
Yeah.
So this one is very impressive. Yeah. It's basically now both Aputure and Nanlite have 5K or 5K-ish fixtures like COBs. I'm assuming the Godox will follow suit very, very soon. But this one, what's interesting about this, the XT52, are two things. First of all, it's not that heavy. I mean, it's kind of big, but it's not super heavy. The light itself, the head, is like 27 kilograms, 28 kilograms, something like that. It's like 60 pounds. I've seen people actually lift it, like one person lifting it. If you're trying to lift a 5K regular, like HMI or whatever, no way. That's gigantic. And so you can definitely lift it yourself. And the ballast or the controller is like only 13 kilograms. So it's not that heavy at all. So this whole setup is something that you can lift yourself maybe in 2 times, but you bring the head, bring the ballast, connect it, and you're good to go. So that's pretty interesting. And it's not that expensive, like relatively speaking. It's like about 10K, $10,000 around, 10,500, something like that. So it's not like unbelievably expensive. Obviously, a lot of people are going to use it as a rental, I'm assuming. And you need to remember that this is not going to be powered from like a household outlet. You need some sort of basically either a huge battery or what you may call it,
a high-powered connection.
Yeah,
somehow.
something like that. Or I had something in mind that can use it. I'll probably remember in a second. I'll put it on the screen. But yeah, so you have to remember that it's not something that you just plug and play. You need to know how to use these things. GVM is a company that you actually went to their booth. Maybe, I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
It's all
It's all
blurring.
blurred to you right now after
blurring
so many
together.
products. Yeah, no, but they have something interesting in their booth. It's called Rain FH400, and basically it's a flat COB light, 400 watts, so it's kind of strong, and it's connectable. So you can build a set like Legos, basically connect one and one and one, and have like a, I don't know, 3x3, 6x6. I don't know if they have like a limit, I'm assuming, but you can connect them together. And I'm not sure how they diffuse them, if they have like, I've seen them putting reflectors on all of them, but I'm not sure how you actually diffuse a bunch of them together. But it's a pretty interesting thing. I think it's around $1,000 per unit. I mean, for a 400 watt light, it's kind of expensive, but on the other hand, it's kind of unique. So I can definitely see some uses for this. And we have, I think, 4 more to go. So Neewer had a few products that you have seen. The first one is something that you shot, was a 1200 watt light, which I think is still a prototype, I'm not sure, but was under like actual running water.
Yeah.
So that was
not just like a mist, not just like a light drizzle, but like pouring continuous buckets of water,
yeah.
just like a steady stream. And there's these like, the vent holes on top. And I'm thinking, it's going right in.
Yeah.
Are there chips in there? Like, I don't understand.
Was it just
there must be a shield inside?
Yeah, of course. Was it just the light, or the light and the ballast as well?
I believe the ballast. I think everything was in
everything was there. That's pretty cool. I have to say that's a pretty cool demo. I haven't seen anything. No, I think I've seen a few panels like this, but not sure if I've seen a COB like demonstrated in this sort of way.
Soon we'll be able to shoot movies
underwater.
Yeah, at this rate.
Yeah. So that was the 1200 watt, and they've shown a small tube light which was inflatable, which was pretty cool. And I think that they also showed something which was not a light, but was actually a probe lens. I don't have any information about this. I'll ask them. Did you see that? Do you remember?
I remember it was going into a model of a cathedral.
Yeah, something like that, and on a slider.
Cool demonstration.
Yeah.
They also had, I don't know if I gave you footage of this, but they also had like a turntable that you stood on and the camera went around
yeah.
That was really neat for like parties, weddings.
Yeah, I don't think that they're the first to do this. No, obviously, they're not the first to do probe lens, but...
Not the first, but many of these things that the different companies are coming out with are heavy because it's something that you need to be able to stand on. But this one seemed like a pretty simple setup. Like,
yeah, with a smartphone that rotates
right, I put
you.
My smartphone in it. Right,
okay.
That's what happened. Right.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah, I'll put it on the screen. Yeah. Again, I have no information about the probe lens, so that's that. Icon, you shot a video from the Icon booth, and they showed something that I didn't even know existed, but apparently it does, which is PoE lights. It's basically like professional lights that are powered. Even I think one of them was like a 200 watt, which is a lot, powered by PoE, 2 PoEs, I think, which is kind of surprising. I didn't know
what's
that.
What's PoE?
PoE is power over Ethernet. So basically, an Ethernet cable going into a light and powering it. So that's the only cable that goes in. Huh. So you have like a panel, and you can connect an Ethernet cable. You control it from a DMX or whatever software, and you power it from the same cable. You don't need anything else. So you can put basically, as long as you have an Ethernet cable going into it, you can put it anywhere you want.
I wonder how much power that can sustain.
200 watt apparently.
Yeah, but
with two cables, but still.
Okay.
That's surprising. And they had like a small projector, which is PoE, and another panel, which was RGB, I think, PoE. So that was kind of cool. So that was ICANN. The last two. Nicefoto had this small, interesting, collapsible umbrella sort of light, which I think they mentioned that it comes in like 100, 200, 300 watt light, and it could be either bi or RGB. And they showed you like a little demo of how you open and close it. It's kind of cool. I know. I'm trying to think about use cases, maybe when you need to be like ultra portable.
Right.
But yeah, that's a pretty nice nice photo, nice umbrella or light sort of solution. The final one, Zhiyun has an X100 RGB in collaboration with
CAM MACKEY.
exactly. So he's a YouTuber. I actually never heard about him before, but you heard about him before you actually saw this?
I feel like I've been watching him for about a year. He's I don't know if I'm subscribed, but he's coming up in my feed a lot. And I've been enjoying him lately as I've realized that he really knows what he's talking about.
That's good.
Yeah.
So anyway, he made a few, like a line of like they already had I'm not sure if they had the RGB version. I think they had the bicolor. So this is like a small flat light with, I think, a battery, right? And what's nice about it is that it has all sorts of accessories that are also like connectable and small. So I think that the most interesting that I've seen is the tiny spotlight. So it's like really small spotlight. It also has a Fresnel and I think a softbox and a few other things. And they're all like branded to his like sort of style, which is like cowboy. I don't know how to.
Every time I look at the Zhiyun lights, I think steampunk, but
Okay.
but in either case, they are funky looking. Right?
No, but in this configuration with his colors and like
Possibly.
yeah. So I think it's like brownish and with a brown bag and stuff. It makes sense. And also they showed, I think, a bunch of like small panels with detachable Fresnels, but they mentioned something about them that it's just like for the show and they don't have any plans on releasing them anytime soon unless there will be a lot of demand. That's it. Yeah, that was a long list. And obviously this is not everything that was on NAB, not even close, but these are all the things that we wanted to discuss. Thank you, Lou. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you for going. Thank you for bringing the shots
It was fun.
and for this talk.
I want to go again.
Next year. Yeah, that's everything that we have for you. Don't forget to subscribe as always. And we have a lot more stuff on LensVid Talk in the next video. And of course, on a lot of reviews that are coming very soon. See you next time. Bye.
Now.